fun!
Hey guys, it's GameJames, and the Nintendo Switch is where I play most of my video games. I bring it with me places, and it serves as my go-to home console. What, you think I'm breaking out the Dreamcast just to play some Mario Odyssey? Anyway, there are a ton of games on the Nintendo Switch. So much so, in fact, that some of them just get lost in the shuffle. So today, I want to talk about some of my top 5 underrated Switch games. These are 5 games that I believe should be talked about more often, and I believe you might want to pick up yourself. Light Fingers is the first game on our list, and is essentially a board game for your Switch. It provides a really fun local multiplayer experience, as any board game should. In Light Fingers, a randomly generated circular world can be traversed with die rolls and item cards. The goal of the game is to steal loot and bring it back to your home base without being caught. When you go to steal loot, the game brings you to an interesting section where you can control your character and steal it yourself. Guards will spawn and chase after you with your own die rolls once you collect a bag of loot. If they catch you, you'll lose the loot. As more guards are spawned, the location of your base can change, causing players to scramble to cash in their loot. Take a shot every time I say the word loot. Dungeons are also a thing in Light Fingers. They task you with platforming, combat-oriented challenges with the promise of treasure at the end. However, the other players can control obstacles in the dungeon, making for some tense and exciting moments with friends. There's also a dungeon rush mode in Light Fingers, which is pretty much just what it sounds like. Overall, I really like Light Fingers. If you're looking to bring some colleagues together and have some local multiplayer mayhem, then this is your game. It currently sells for $20 on the eShop. Pocket Rumble is a really neat fighting game based on the Neo Geo Pocket? Hands up if you've never heard of the Neo Geo Pocket. You can choose from a roster of 8 characters, each with their own strengths, abilities, and weaknesses. The game has a pixel art style in reference to the Neo Geo Pocket. Another nod to the handheld console would be the use of only 2 buttons in Pocket Rumble. There's a normal attack button and a special attack button. Inputting directions and pressing either button will result in different attacks. There are no quarter circles or difficult combos in this game. Each character also has a special move, each with its own unique build meter and effects. Quinn's, for example, turns him into a werewolf, powering him up for a short period of time. Hector's provides a healing effect, and Tenchi is basically a giant Hadoken. There's an arcade mode, local multiplayer, and ranked online multiplayer. I'm proud to say that I was, at least at one point, among the top 50 Quinn players in the world. Pocket Rumble is a great time, especially if you're a fan of fighting games like me. Playing alone or with buddies is always fun. Pocket Rumble currently sells for $10 on the eShop. Wargroove is a game I saw a lot of hype for upon release, but nobody really talks about it anymore as far as I'm aware. It's turn-based tactics combat at its finest. Think Fire Emblem or Advance Wars, but with a more bubbly art style. Wargroove gives you unique commanders with special abilities to use in battle. If your commander falls, you lose the fight, plain and simple. However, they are normally your strongest unit, so it's important to use them wisely. You can purchase units to keep the battle going, but it won't last forever. Be prepared, however. Some fights can take a long while to win. The campaign in Wargroove is bound to last you a decent chunk of time, but that's not all there is to do in the game. The arcade mode tasks the player with choosing a commander and engaging in 5 battles, with much smaller maps, making for shorter battles. This was almost always my preferred method of playing the game. Online multiplayer is a neat option in Wargroove. You can play against other players, and even create custom maps. In the end, Wargroove is a really cool game, with beautiful graphics and engaging gameplay. It currently sells for $20 on the eShop. Gunman Clive HD Collection is a mashup of the first 2 Gunman Clive games, found on the 3DS and Wii U eShops. Gunman Clive is tasked with saving his darling from thugs and outlaws that run the town. It's run and gun, similar to Mega Man, with collectible guns and many types of enemies to gun down. The graphics are fun to look at with its monochromatic style. The 2 games combined can provide a few hours of entertainment, and for a budget price, this collection is a neat pickup. It currently sells for $4 on the eShop. Finally, we have Ninja Clash of Carrots. A mix of auto-running and beat-em-up style games, Ninja Clash of Carrots is a fun experience I won't soon forget. The game tells the story of a bunny and a fox as they journey to rescue their village's stolen carrots. The story is comical, and not at all serious. The gameplay revolves around hitting opponents while constantly moving. It's an interesting twist that provides some needed flavor to the game. Equipment and weapons can be collected throughout the campaign, and used to get more equipment and weapons. It's a cool feature. Ninja in Clash of Carrots is best played with a friend, as the game encourages local co-op. However, there is online for those who have no real friends.
Looking at you, Joel.
The game is relatively short, but super fun if you got someone to play with. Ninja in Clash of Carrots currently sells for $15 on the eShop.
And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed our little romp through the Switch eShop to find some of the underrated games on it. And who knows, maybe I'll make a video similar to this in the future. All I have to do is buy 5 more games and...
Bonus round! Round 1!
Hey guys, it's GameJames, and I got some fish for ya! Wait, you're not a fish, you're a man! Yes, it's time for the fish to consume everything. And, by the fish, I of course mean Fish Bungeon from Slap City. Slap City is a platform fighter from the good folks at Ludosity, featuring 8 characters and a slew of stages and modes. What sets it apart from other platform fighters is its comical nature and its surprisingly deep gameplay. So let's dive headfirst into Slap City and see what it's all about.
Firstly, I'd like to talk about some special mechanics unique to Slap City. You know smash attacks, those charge attacks meant for dealing the final blow to an opponent? Well, in Slap City, you can not only perform them on the ground, but in the air as well. All characters have a chargeable air attack they can hit rivals with. Alongside the aerial smash attacks is the clutch button. It can reverse momentum in the air for those aerial smash attacks I spoke of earlier. It can also provide special effects when pressed down, such as preventing fast falling and forcing a light shield. It's admittedly a button that I don't press too often, but it's a nice mix-up option for throwing off an opponent. Let's touch on some modes found in Slap City. As you might expect, there's an arcade mode, which is the main focus of the single-player offering at the moment. Story mode is being worked on and will be released with version 1.0 of Slap City. But I digress. I find arcade mode to be relatively standard. You pick a character or difficulty, as well as how many lives you start out with, and fight your way through a wide range of opponents. A couple of mini-games are thrown in to spice up the gameplay, such as a round of Smack the Crystals, which is essentially target smash, and a game where you knock beach balls into hoops. I was terrible at this one in particular. At the end of arcade mode, the player has to fight a boss, with 2 lives and fireballs that come out at their last stock. Once you beat arcade mode, you get a final score which is recorded and compared to your previous scores. Neat! The other main mode, besides local and online battling, is Slap Ball. In Slap Ball, 2 teams must knock a ball to the opposing side of one of 6 stages unique to Slap Ball. Every time the ball is hit, it gains a point, but if it hits the ground, its points reset to 1. When it hits a goal, all of its current points go to the corresponding team. Think of it like soccer, but not like a fishman thing and a living hot dog hitting a beach ball back and forth in a pinball stadium. It's a pretty fun mode and something that sets Slap City apart from other platform fighters. Admittedly, however, I don't find myself playing it incredibly often. I don't think it's due to the quality of Slap Ball, however. It's probably due to how much I love the main fighting modes.
In any of the main battle modes, you can choose from a roster of 8 characters and a selection of 25 stages. To cover this in its entirety, I want to go over each individual character, just as we did with Brawlout and Icons.
It'll Do is sort of an all-around Mario type character. Most of her attacks fall around the middle in terms of damage and knockback, making her a good combo character. Her side special throws bombs that have a long fuse, and can be hit around the stage for a short time. The strategy is to hit them towards your opponents, but your opponents can also hit them back towards you, and the explosion hurts It'll Do as much as it can hurt anyone else. Her aerial smash attack is a raft that sends fighters spiraling downwards, making it a great kill option. Overall, It'll Do is a nice beginning level character with lots of room baked in for growth and improvement. Easy to learn, hard to master. Master Ruby is the only character in Slap City with 3 jumps. Along with a powerful horizontal recovery, Master Ruby can be hard to defeat. He's quick, he can launch attacks at almost any time, and send his opponents flying through the air. Master Ruby is definitely a melee character. He has no projectiles and prefers to stay close to his opponent. His combo game is really strong, and he was my first man when I began playing Slap City. Jenny Fox is a crazed woman with axes and a skateboard. Her axe throwing skills are on point, as she can throw them at multiple different angles and even as a boomerang. Her killing potential is also strong, as one might expect from someone wielding axes. A lot of her power lies in her grabs as well. She can throw with just enough force to either send rivals off the stage or into another axe attack. Her skateboard could take her across the stage and even launch her upwards, making it her most valuable mobility tool. Now, there's Ultra Fish Bungin 3000. He's my current main, as I simply find him the most fun to play as. He's generally slow, but his side special sends him rocketing across the stage, and he can even jump out of it. His aerial smash attack launches a dumbbell. It can be reversed with the clutch button, making it his only projectile. It has incredible knockback, along with his up special of all things. Comboing into his up special to kill is crucial to winning as Fish Bungin. Fish is also, unsurprisingly, the heaviest fighter in the game, making it difficult to knock him off the stage. Just don't mess with Fish Bungin, or dare facing the bad end of his legendary dumbbells. Princess Remedy is a projectile fighter. She can launch syringes with her smash attacks, and has a laser attack with her neutral special. Her down special sets a trap on the stage that she can explode with another tap of the button, causing opponents to either go flying or avoid that area of the stage entirely. Her aerial strong fires a large laser in front of her, making for a strong main range attack. Overall, Remedy makes for a good long-range fighter with lots of potential. It's always business casual day for Business Casual Man. His main mechanic is his money. He can earn money by hitting certain moves, and use that money to supercharge other moves, such as his forward air and forward smash. He has a counter with his down special that, when hit, earns him even more money. He can also fire himself like an arrow from a bow for his up special. His stretchy limbs sort of freak me out occasionally, but his resourcefulness as a fighter is commendable. Business Casual Man is one of the most unique fighters I've seen in any platform fighter, and that translates into his gameplay as well as his personality. Then there's the Goddess of Explosions. As her name implies, her main method of attacking her opponents is various forms of explosions. She can send out an explosive ball with her side special, smash the world with her up special, and even travel the stage with her forward smash attack. That's right, the Goddess of Explosions is the only character I've ever seen in any game that has a traveling forward smash. She's surprisingly fast and unsurprisingly powerful, making her a deadly fighter deserving of a spot on the Slap City roster. Finally, we have Asha. Asher's specials can teleport him across the stage. His teleports charge up, and he can hold up to 3 at a time. His light frame can make him easy to knock off the stage, with his teleportation abilities, and plenty of powerful, if somewhat slow attacks. Asha is still a force to be reckoned with.
So what's the final decision on Slap City? Is it fun? Is it everything it sets out to be and more? You should know the answer by now, right? Slap City is a really great time. Whether you're rocking Business Casual with Business Casual Man, destroying everything in your path with Goddess of Explosions, or healing things to death with Princess Remedy. I strongly recommend picking up the game now, as it's $10, and that price may raise in the future with the release of 1.0. So pick it up soon before it raises. And that about wraps things up, so, Fish? Fish, what are you doing with that dumbbell? Fish? Fish? Ah!
Bonus round!
Yeah, right. I think I can do that. Okay, it's a deal then. Talk to you later. So, 2 years. It's been quite a long time since the first episode of GameJames. 17 episodes later, and here we are. So, I think there's nothing better to do in this situation than to stop. That's it. Show's over. I got better things to do right now. I just got an offer over the phone that I just can't refuse. So, this is goodbye. See you guys. Whoa. Wait, why am I here? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, James.
You? Why am I here? And what happened to our deal?
Oh, poor, naive James.
Who are you?
I'm you, James. Listen, if you want out of this time prison I've put you in, you're gonna have to do a little review for me. See that game in front of you? Review it. Then, maybe I'll let you free. But not until I get some proper entertainment. See you.
Sonic 2, huh? Let's do it. Sonic 2 is the sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog on Sega Genesis, which just so happened to be the topic of the first video on GameJames. But is it just as good as the original? Worse? Or even better? Let's find out. I'm going to review this game stage by stage, like I did Sonic 1. But first, I'm taking a quick moment to talk about the differences between Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. Most obvious is the inclusion of Miles Tails Prower. He's a CPU that sort of just follows you around, though I will admit that I really enjoy his inclusion. It just feels like you're not going through the adventure alone. Plus, he can hit enemies for you. Isn't that neat? Occasionally, he will get stuck, but him getting stuck doesn't hinder gameplay whatsoever. Another difference is that there are only 2 acts per zone, not 3. This is balanced by the fact that there are now 10 zones, minus the final zone, meaning almost 20 acts to play through. This is about the same as the 18 acts in Sonic 1. The shorter zones are a massive improvement, however, as gameplay and graphics change more often now, making for a more varied experience. Alright, let's get this over with so I can get out of here and go home. Emerald Hill Zone is Green Hill Zone on steroids. Everything is even better than it was in the first game, down to the controls and the level design. Fast segments are aplenty, which is really what Sonic should be doing. Sonic's new Spin Dash really comes in handy here. It's a move where Sonic can instantly gain a burst of speed while at a standstill. This is an incredible addition, as one of my biggest complaints with the first game was a lack of speed in certain sections. Overall, I can already tell Emerald Hill Zone will be one of my favorites. Robotnik boss battles are back, and once again, they're really just for show. I had no difficulty beating most of the bosses in this game. That being said, there's still a nice touch to end off a zone. Chemical Plant Zone is next, and it's one of the most recognizable and iconic zones in all of Sonic. It almost perfectly balances platforming segments with speedy segments. The tubes are fun to watch Sonic blast through, and the 2 acts are still kept relatively easy, as this is only the second zone in the game. Plus, can I just mention the music here real quick? The music in Sonic 2 is awesome in general, but the Chemical Plant Zone theme really sticks out in my mind as being one of the better tracks here. All this praise aside, there's one segment I really dislike in Act 2 of Chemical Plant Zone. At a certain point, you must climb blocks while the water, or chemical of some sort, is rising. Simple enough, but the section right after has moving and dropping platforms that sends you back to the climbing block section, this time with the water already risen. It's annoying, and can eat up your lives if you're not careful. Besides this though, Chemical Plant Zone is still really cool. 3 things about Aquatic Ruin Zone. 1. Don't fall in the water. 2. Don't fall in the water. 3. Do not fall in the water. You probably already know how awful the underwater gameplay is in Sonic 1, and it's just as bad here. You as the player have the choice to play almost the full level underwater. Don't. If you play it on solid ground, it's a much better experience. But in the end, this is a worse zone than the previous 2. The visuals aren't as appealing to me, and, as I mentioned previously, water and Sonic are 2 things that don't mix well together. Casino Night Zone is really appealing visually. Lots of flashy colors and neon bring together a sort of Vegas aesthetic that really fits the main gameplay mechanic in this zone, which is pinball! I love pinball! Pinball in Sonic was so good, they made a whole game about it, called Sonic Spinball, and that game wasn't very good, but still, pinball! Sometimes the layout in Casino Night Zone is confusing to navigate, what with the whole pinball thing. But let me tell you that this zone is still really fun to play through. Probably my favorite zone so far, and that's saying a lot. Hilltop Zone reminds me a lot of Marble Zone from Sonic 1. Lava and granite. The seesaws with the angry balls are kind of an interesting twist, but there really aren't any fast moments in this zone. Just a lot of waiting for platforms and seesaws. Not a favorite of mine. Mystic Cave Zone has a cool aesthetic. It plays okay too. The little lightning bugs are annoying, but overall, it's a pretty average stage. Nothing much to say here. We're about halfway done. halfway done to getting out of wherever I am. Oil Ocean Zone is where things really start to get challenging. Sonic can fall in oil, which he can jump out of, but it isn't exactly easy to do so. The 2 acts seem longer than the previous ones, and they're definitely more difficult. I found the rising platforms to be a bit troublesome, but the graphics are nice. In the end, this is a pretty alright zone in Sonic 2, even if it is a bit difficult. Finally, the last full zone in the game, Metropolis Zone. This zone has 3 stages, unlike all the others, which have 2 each. And they're all brutal. If you could beat these 3 stages without getting a game over at least once, consider yourself a Sonic 2 master. Anyways, this zone takes place in what appears to be a Robotnik factory of some kind. There are bolts you can screw in, as well as dropping platforms, bounce pads, and starfish-looking enemies that shoot at you. It can be a lot, and once you pass this zone, you're in the final stretch. Sky Chase Zone is weird. Sonic is on a plane piloted by Tails, and the way you control both Sonic and Tails' plane is so jank. Jank is the only way I could describe it. I'm not sure how else to do so, really. It just doesn't work well. Combine this with the slow speed of the plane, and I really don't like this zone. Thankfully, it's only 1 act. I've decided that Wing Fortress Zone is practically unplayable. The bars Sonic has to grab onto to progress? Yeah, sometimes he just doesn't grab them. Easily my least favorite zone. Moving on. Lastly, the Death Egg. Silver Sonic is pretty easy, except for the fact that his hitboxes aren't quite right. Then, Robotnik in his mech suit. He's also not that hard if you know what you're doing. That seems to be a running theme in the game. Easy boss fights. And that's Sonic 2. It was a heck of a lot better than the first game. And if the first game was a treasured classic, then this one sure is. Alright, can you let me out now? Whoever you are? Hello again, James. Hey, who are you? And why did you make me review Sonic 2? You'd think if you were trying to trap me or something, you'd pick a worse game for me to play. I chose it because you've been here for 2 years, James, making those stupid videos. Well, now it's my turn. You see, James, I am you. I'm the dark part of you that hates games, hates life, hates the world. I am you. I am GameJames. And I'll prove I'm the real GameJames by ousting you from this stupid channel. It's time for me to start my own line of videos, disincluding you. You can't do that. This is my channel. But I'm you, remember? Therefore, it's my channel too. Just think of all the bad games you've played. Mario Teaches Typing, Pokemon Snap even, and Sonic the Hedgehog. That treasured classic isn't really as treasured as you think it is it? You're wrong. Games are good. Games are fun. Even the bad ones. When I reviewed Sonic the Hedgehog on this show, I never thought I'd get the opportunity to talk about so many games. This show has been a ton of fun to work on and produce. And I don't need someone like you telling me I should quit. I was wrong to try and leave the show for some silly network talk program that doesn't even exist. And even if it did, I was still wrong to leave the show behind. So no, you're not taking GameJames from me, even if you are me. But I'll cut you a deal. Games can be good and bad. And I do need to provide some negative opinions from time to time. Keeping that in mind, you're already a part of the show. Every time I say something bad about a game, that's you speaking. That's me speaking. We need to keep a balance of good and bad. So how about it? Fine. You have yourself a deal. Me. Well, that was something. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's, Sonic 1 really wasn't that good.
Round 1.
Hey guys, it's GameJames, and I like board games. I like board games so much, in fact, that I bought a board game video game. This little game on the PS1 is called Board Game Top Shop. Or Top Shop, I'm really not sure. All I know for sure is that it was made by the great and famous A1 Games, responsible for making such classics as bowling and billiards. We are in for a trip today, folks. Board Game Top Shop takes place in a mall, where you buy and sell products to other players. Sounds simple, right? Kind of like Monopoly. Yes and no. Let's take a look at the game first. Make sure to be careful with the retro games, guys. I don't want to damage them or anything like that. Yep, okay. So this game is kind of, how you say, weird. There's what appears to be a cactus on wheels and a blob with an umbrella? Okay, let's just start with the single player story mode. Cat and car, cat and car! So basically the story goes, cat wants money, girl also wants money. Cool, I get it. Let's delve into some gameplay elements while we're here. Board Game Top Shop plays similarly to Monopoly and Fortune Street. But if it was in the 90s, and you were aiming to capitalize on teenage girls who just stole their parents' credit cards. One change is that you roll a pencil instead of a die. Honestly, I don't get that decision. You can buy and sell shops in the mall, and when you have shops next to each other, they'll double up and become a mega shop. Up to 4 shops can be linked, at least in the mall that I'm playing in. When a player lands in a shop they don't own, they have to buy an item from that shop. When a player lands on one of their own shops, they can restock one of their shops. This is how the economy works in Board Game Top Shop. So let's open my first shop. Let's see. Our options are pharmacy, candy store, bakery, and Kiss. So I open up Kiss. At Kiss, we sell eloquent items such as chicken wings and apple pie. There are also points in Board Game Top Shop. You can earn points by buying items from other players' shop, and at the bank, the home space, you can cash in your points for certain effects, ranging from gaining money to opening shops to hurting other players. Points are a big part of the strategy in Board Game Top Shop. Do you save your points to get a bigger effect next time? Or do you spend them now in hopes of boosting your chances of winning? Some of the shop names are kinda odd. There's Meatland, Comic Boy, and George Video. Georg Video. When you roll an E on your pencil, you can draw a card that will have a random effect. These effects can be positive or negative. One can give you a shop, another can give your money to other players without your consent. I think that's called robbery. Each turn is assigned a month, and each month has a fun little screen attached. There's a cactus on a pole in May. That's fun. Each game lasts for about 30 to 45 minutes. You go on buying and selling until one player reaches the target amount and wins. The real charm in this game is in the visuals and generally strange nature of everything. The gameplay is pretty alright too. Admittedly, it does remind me a lot of Fortune Street, but the point structure and selling of products is interesting enough to convince me to maybe play again. Maybe. This game is weird, and I've seen weird. Overall, this game gets a pass from me though. It surpasses expectations and succeeds beyond just the strange presentation and mystifying premise. The game itself is deep and engaging enough to provide enjoyable experiences while playing. So, let me get this straight. I'm playing as a cat in a blue tingle suit, opening stores in a mall, and there's a cactus on a pole, and Georg Video, and... Hi, welcome to Georg Video. What outdated video format can I provide you with today?
Bonus round!
Hey guys, it's GameJames, and legend tells of a game that's so gnarly, so excellent, so radical, that no other physical form, living or dead, can possibly be so cool. After like 20 minutes of research, I found the Promised Land. A game was released at the birth of the 90s called Totally Rad. I'll have you know, this is a real game that was really released into the really real world. And if it wasn't, then my whole life is a lie and I give up. Just get the game, dude. Just get the game. So you boot up the game and, yeah, so when exactly can I start the exorcism? Do I need to light the candles first, or can I just start with the whole Jesus speech? Okay, yeah, I'll hold. This man's name is Zebediah, and he's a magician.
What really confuses me though is the P hat. What does it stand for? Present? Picnic? Pepper? Zebediah is teaching our hero, Jake, how to use magic. Also, there's a girl here for some reason. Probably to get captured or something. The second line in this whole game is, "Most excellent, dude." Paired with this image. "I'm telling you, this is a masterpiece of artistic expression. It belongs in the Louvre with great works such as the Mona Lisa, Mario Party 8, and the Chef Boyardee mini ravioli I just cooked up."
Let me tell you, man, there's actually some pretty good stuff in here. There's nothing in this bowl, it's all a fraud. Cut.
Yep, he thinks I have gnarly potential. And I think he's totally decent. Oh lord, please don't let this be the whole game, please. First level, Act 1. Jake is literally getting shot by aliens. Let's do this. Hey man, don't look at me like that. I'm just as confused as you. Let's break this down, shall we? We've got Jake the Mad Lad here in the center. Is that the Disney castle in the background? Or is it a Ferris wheel? Is that the Taj Mahal? Or is that Space Yeah, it's just Disneyland. We're in Disneyland.
You can't convince me otherwise.
Jake fires laser beams out of his hands as an attack. He fires them at what appear to be men in hazmat suits, propeller-powered eyeballs, and Jim Carrey from the Sonic movie. So this is essentially how the game goes. You run and you shoot things. It's pretty simple, but incredibly difficult. It's one of those tough-as-nails NES platformers.
Or maybe I'm just bad. I'm probably just bad. That's also possible.
The next stage is the circus stage. Yeah, checks out. There are copy-pasted Mega Man enemies and death balloons that hurt you when you... Okay, bye. Clowns. No, I expected clowns, but why the blimps? Whoa, calm down, Jack. Take a chill pill.
Do people still say the phrase, "take a chill pill"? I mean, I know that I'm no longer on the same page as the hip youth of the world, but you know, I thought playing Totally Rad on the NES would help with that, you know? Sometimes I feel like this whole game is just an allegory for how fleeting youth is and how we all age, and no matter how hard we try, it just never stops. Time never stops. And everyone dies eventually, and there's no... I think this game just kind of sucks.
The first boss... I just... Guys, I think I need a glass of water. He doesn't stop, man. He just doesn't stop looking at me like that. Dude, are you okay? Are you having a stroke or a seizure? Please, man, just tell me, okay? On to Act 2 at Spy Kids. You cannot tell me that's not the blue dude from Spy Kids 3.
Eventually, Allison, by the way, her name is Allison. Eventually, Allison gets kidnapped and we have to save her. Okay, so I called that, right? You know that I called that, right?
Apparently, somewhere off screen, her dad goes to save her and also gets kidnapped. Yet she's back? Somehow? Jake, I kinda want my dad back, you know?
Yeah, I get you. You know, I get you. I feel you. I know. In fact, I can't think of a person who wouldn't know. He just went out for some milk, guys, okay? He'll be back, I swear. I swear he'll be back, guys. Yeah, I know it's been several years, but he just went for milk, okay? He'll be back.
A few more levels and bosses later, and the main guy has really tiny feet. He's not very difficult compared to the rest of the game. In the ending cutscene, the underground people go back to their home. Okay, I'll admit I didn't pay that much attention, but what?
And so ends one of the strangest experiences I've ever had on the NES. Something had to go wrong here, right? Something went wrong in the concept phase, right? I mean, this was released in 1990 in a physical Nintendo cartridge, had the seal of quality, like for real, for actual real. Was this the 90s? Was this like actually what the 90s were like? Good thing I didn't live in the 90s, because otherwise I'd be a completely different man. It's totally tranquil, Allison. You know when you play a game when you're like 8 and you really enjoy it, then you play it again at the age of 18 and you realize that you were deceived and that game isn't actually very good. That's a common feeling. The world is magical when you're a kid, but once you hit those dreaded teenage years, your view on the world becomes a little more cynical.
just like your taste in video games. I'm going to talk about the games you probably thought were good, but in actuality are just mediocre, or in some cases just flat out bad. No more stalling! These are the games that aren't very good in hindsight.
Ah, Sonic. You kind of fell off a cliff in terms of quality real quickly after your first few games. But when you really think about it, and I mean really think about it, Sonic started off pretty poorly. His first outing, Sonic the Hedgehog on Sega Genesis, isn't the best once you look at it with a critical eye. Sonic fans, please do not kill me in my sleep. Upon replaying it once more, this treasured classic is nothing more than a couple of good levels that people really remember, and sloppy gameplay the rest of the way. For being a super fast blue hedgehog, Sonic is forced to move pretty slowly in most of the levels, especially Marble Zone. Let me tell you something, some of the later zones in Sonic 1 are an absolute slog to get through. Labyrinth Zone and Starlight Zone are the epitome of subpar.
That Green Hill Zone though? Sublime. Mario Kart 64 was the king of karting games, and in many people's minds it still is. But the amount of content in the game leaves a little bit to be desired. Plus, the controls are pretty stiff. No thanks to this thing!
This game is incredibly slow compared to its series' more modern entries. Like the original Sonic, a lot of it feels off-pace and clunky, especially when you've played more recent Mario Kart titles. This was the introduction of the Blue Shell, a staple of the franchise, but here it feels like it just comes up a bit too often. The single-player content here offers next to nothing in terms of value. It's a party game through and through. So if you don't have friends over, or just don't have friends like me, it's not the best. A lack of characters and tracks is annoying. Yes, I understand that the game is older than most, but when you consider the multiple Mario Kart games that came after this one, I don't see a point in coming back to it after all these years, outside of maybe a nostalgia kick.
Speaking of Mario Kart, let's take a trip back to August of 1992. The Super Nintendo is blowing people's minds, and a new kart racer has just been released. Super Mario Kart. It was amazing at the time, but I recently replayed it and boy is it tough compared to other games in the franchise.
When I say tough, I actually mean pretty difficult if you don't know what you're doing. Enemies rubber band like hell and never give you any room to breathe. Plus, sometimes, opponents can get items you can't get. Ever. That's an interesting design choice. Drifting just doesn't work. This is factual information that cannot be argued. Unless you're an absolute professional and have played this game for at least 100 or so hours, you cannot drift across the turn successfully. It's not possible. Super Mario Kart also suffers from a lack of options like its 64 counterpart. On top of this, the track design itself holds up about as well as a soggy bread in a hurricane. Everything is flat, understandable given the technical limitations, but still not incredibly exciting on a return playthrough. The pseudo 3D perspective doesn't work much either. Oftentimes I can't tell the distance between me and an object or opponent in front of me. Overall, Super Mario Kart is best left as a relic of the past.
Y'all have a hankering to play some Pokemon? You do? Good, good. Okay, so what do you want to play? Do you want to play Pokemon Black 2? Or do you want to play Pokemon Sun? Or do you want to play Pokemon Alpha Sapphire? Ah, I see.
Where to start with this? I suppose I'll begin with the most common complaint. Too much water. Haha, so funny, right? In all seriousness, there really is just too much water in the game's overworld. Most, if not all of it, is not fun to traverse, and I don't really care for Wingull and Tentacool showing up about 30 times each. No thanks. They got rid of the Battle Frontier in the remakes, already a step back, but they replaced it with the Battle Mason! An utter disappointment. HMs are so prevalent it gets to the point over mild annoyance, and the game reeks of recycled Generation 6 ideas. At least there's Megas. Oh wait!
Super Mario Sunshine isn't really that good? Please don't kill me.
Listen, it's not that I think Mario Sunshine is a bad game, far from it. It just doesn't really stack with other Mario titles or even GameCube games as a whole. The camera is a bit, how you say, bad? Half the time I can't really see where I'm going or even the objective in front of me. Controlling Mario in Sunshine is almost as if you are controlling a vacuum on ice. Basically, it's a little slippery. Not game ruining by any means, but an annoyance nonetheless. I don't think the art style holds up the best. It looks a bit bland and uninteresting to me. Fight me to the death if you want on that one. I do love the Piantas though.
As I said before, I don't think Super Mario Sunshine is awful or anything, I just think it's a bit overhyped. Okay, please don't hate me for this one. I think Super Smash Bros. Melee is overrated. That probably makes me a walking garbage disposal in your mind, but I at least ask you to hear me out. My question is, what actual reason is there to go back to Super Smash Bros. Melee today?
The game is super uber unbalanced. It's even to the point where in casual play, someone playing as Fox or Marth can completely trounce a Bowser player with ease. Kinda ruins the game for me, both on a competitive and casual level. It's also admittedly a little unpolished for a GameCube game. There are glitches galore, and I swear you could open a can with Donkey Kong's hair. Speaking of glitches, that's one of, if not the main reason, the Melee community is still going strong. It certainly wouldn't be the competitive juggernaut it is without wave dashing and L canceling, both of which make getting into the scene incredibly difficult.
At the end of the day, these are just my opinions, and you don't have to agree with them. Again, I don't really think any of these games are that awful. Sonic, you're the exception to that. I just think they have some flaws that drag down the overall experience and leave a bitter taste, especially considering later entries in their respective franchises, leaving them the games that aren't very good in hindsight. I swear, saying anything bad about Melee will lead to your death. I'll be double locking my doors tonight.